When you go to the homepage, mosaic.penrose.education, you can click the login button up here. Your login is your email address that you have registered with Teach Southeast, and your password on your first login is tse.students, and it will prompt you on that first login to change your password to something more memorable. Once you log in, it will take you here to your dashboard, which will show you any active up-and-coming tasks that you need to complete. And on the left-hand side here, you've got the tabs that allow you to navigate around the platform. Let's start by looking at files. If you click into files, there are two folders. The first folder is your course files, and these are files that are put onto Mosaic by us centrally at Teach Southeast. And this is all of the key documentation and information that you need for the course. So you need to select either primary 24-5 or secondary 2024-5, depending on which phase you're in. And in there, you will find all of the resources and the materials that you need to access as you complete the course. This folder at the bottom, key documents, has things like your formal lesson planning form, your formal observation form. It's got some exemplars in there. But in those folders, you will find everything that you need. If we go back to files, there's a second folder, which is Mosaic Evidence folder, and this is your personal folder. So you can upload things to this folder, and it basically sits as a Mosaic folder in your Google Drive, which is the account that you have linked to Mosaic when you first log in. In there, you can upload your subject knowledge audit and keep that updated so that your subject tutor can monitor it. And then within each of these termly folders, you will need to add a folder for each week into which you will upload one formal observation form that has been completed by your mentor and one formal lesson plan that you have completed for that observation each week. Your Mosaic folder will be checked at your review points by your assessor to make sure that you have uploaded those two key pieces of evidence each week. On the left-hand side, you can also see under course, there is a tab called Training Plan. And this is where you will be access all the information that you need for your training during that week. The training plan begins on the day of your GPS training, which is your centralised training that you have with Teach Southeast, and it runs for the whole week from that as the starting point. Don't worry too much about the dates. So for example, here, this one says past weeks for the ITAP. That's just a bit of a clunky thing to do with the way that Mosaic has set these up. But basically, you're just going to work through these training plans in order. So you're going to start with this one, Training Plan 0, which is Induction. Okay, and this plan will take you up to your first GPS session next week. So if I click into here, you will see at the top, it shows you what the curriculum focus is for the week, and you can access the termly overviews for general professional studies for primary and secondary at the top. You've then got a section here that will show you the sessions that you will have in induction, and then what you should talk about with your mentor when you start in school. And when you have a mentor meeting where you sit down with your mentor, what you should be doing is going through and ticking off the things that you have discussed, and then in this box here, summarising what you've talked about. This only needs to be a few bullet points, okay? And it's up to you to complete this training plan in your mentor meetings so you have a record of what's been discussed. At the bottom of your training plan, you then have a to-do list of things to tick off as you complete them, okay? Which will help you to prepare for the next training plan or the next general professional studies centralised training session. And at the bottom of this one here, there are some videos for you to watch. So if you click onto these, it will take you to that video so that you can access it. The training plan for induction, this first one looks slightly different just because it's the first week and we haven't fully got into the swing of training. So if I show you training plan 1, which will be the first week of GPS, in here you can see the thread really that the training plan will take you through each week. So it will start with your curriculum focus, the elements and the aspects of the curriculum that you're really going to focus on in your training that week. It will list the sessions that you will have in your GPS on that first day of the training plan. And then there is a box with bullet points in where you can summarise your key takeaways from training. You might do that at the end of your GPS training, or it might be something that you do afterwards retrospectively. It will also list here the reading that you should have done, which would have been on the task list in the previous training plan at the bottom to help you prepare for the week ahead. And again, it gives you space to just summarise your key takeaways from those pieces of literature that you've read. After you've done your centralised training, you then move into your subject training. And here you will have some suggestions of the kinds of things that you should be covering in your subject training that week. And again, there's space below for you to just write a few very brief bullet points summarising your key takeaways from your subject training. Once you've done your subject training, we then move your training into your teaching practice in school, and part of that is your in-placement or skit lead training. So again, here it will list some of the things that your skit lead might discuss with you in your in-school training during that training plan, and there's space again for you to just bullet point briefly your key takeaways. In school, your training also is comprised of your mentor interactions, and here is a space for you to record your mentor meeting. These boxes here take you through the structure of the mentor meeting, which your mentor should do with you. So as your mentor goes through these stages, you can tick them off on the training plan. There's then a list of suggestions of things that you might want to discuss with your mentor, or they might want to discuss with you, to enable you to reflect on the training that you've done leading into that mentor meeting. And there's some boxes here where you can again bullet point your summary of what you've discussed in that mentor meeting. Finally, at the bottom, you've got your to-do list of things that you need to do to get ready for the next training plan, which will begin on the first day of GPS, of your next GPS training session. And again, you need to tick these off as you do them. Each week, it's your responsibility to make sure that that training plan is complete, that all of the boxes are ticked, and that all of the spaces where you are asked to just summarise briefly your takeaways have some notes in them. Once all those things have been filled out, you'll be able to click the Save and Return button. Completing the training plan is part of your evidence, is part of your ongoing assessment, and this will be checked on a regular basis centrally by Teach South East. So do keep on top of it, and do make sure that each week you have a really good routine of ticking everything off, making sure you've filled it out, and clicking that Save and Return button. This training plan is accessible to you, but also your mentor, your skit lead, your subject tutor, your assessor. They can all look through and see what you've been doing in training in different aspects of your training that perhaps they're not involved in. So everyone has a really clear overview of the progression of your training that week and of that thread, which is so important. This is really critical because it helps us to make sure that all of you are getting a consistent experience in the different aspects of your training that are taking place during that week. And whatever phase you're training in, whatever subject you're training in, whoever your mentor is, whichever school you're placed in, you should be getting a consistent experience because it's been set out really clearly on this training plan exactly what you should be doing. The final tab I want to show you on here is review points. In here, you will access everything that you need for your more formal summative assessments. Now, we're going to talk more about these in GPS training in that first half term, but this is where you can access the review points that you need. For each assessment, there will be 2 review points. One is a crib sheet, which is your evidence folder, if you like, which is where you collate evidence that you're going to talk through in a professional discussion with your assessor to talk through the progress that you've made and how you've implemented your reading and training into practice. The second review point is where your mentor judges your progress across the whole curriculum at that stage of the year and at that review point. We'll look at these in much more detail, as I said, in your training, but I just wanted to show you that they're there so that you can find them. There is also a tab here for targets, and during your mentor meeting, your mentor will have their computer logged into their Mosaic account, and through this tab, they will be able to add targets for you, which will be linked to all of the information in that training plan, linked to the curriculum focus that's going to enable you to take what you've done in training and really put it into practice in the classroom and progress. And each week, mentors in your mentor meeting will tick off the targets that you've met before they set you new ones.